Folks, there are certain things that happen in the financial markets that it is such a huge deal that it is remembered for years to go in the future, and sometimes even decades to go in the future, and sometimes even generations to go in the future. And we are in a moment in time that is going on right now. And the range of implications behind this, I have to talk about and have to show you guys, because it's pretty insane, to be quite honest, as something like this has happened, and has happened this quickly. Sam Bankman-Fried, yes, the man that was on the cover of Fortune magazine just a few months ago. This is the August-September 2022 edition of Fortune magazine, the next Warren Buffett. This man that has been everywhere and had a net worth of $20+ billion as of just a few days ago. Breaking: FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried has gone bankrupt. He personally still owes over $650 million to lenders. His stake in all three of his companies is now worthless. Sam Bankman-Fried still owns around $450 million of Robinhood stock. His current net worth, according to this gentleman, is negative $200 million at this point in time. Where do I even start with this? I'm going to try to start here, okay? So, first off, in this whole drama, the only winners are going to be lawyers. That's all that's going to win. In this whole FTX drama, everything that's going on there, the only ones that are actually going to make a bunch of money and get a bunch of money out of the situation are lawyers. That's how this works. And, the more you understand how these processes work, it's the lawyers who end up making bank, and investors are stuck, maybe not getting anything or getting very little money depending upon whatever happens here. There's no, there's no golden parachutes, but lawyers are going to make a whole bunch of money in this situation. Shocking. I mean, just a shocking amount. FTX supposedly needs $8 billion. Bankman-Fried tells investors. FTX chief Sam Bankman-Fried told investors he needs an emergency funding to cover a shortfall of up to $8 billion due to withdrawal requests received in recent days, according to people familiar with the matter. The call with investors on Wednesday came around the same time rival crypto exchange Binance said it was planning to walk away from the short-lived plans to acquire FTX. 8 billion flipping flapjack in numbers. So if you're wondering, what does this mean? How does this happen? Okay. Mass fear caused mass panic. Everybody withdrawing money from FTX, at least their international business, right? And hopefully in this situation, FTX US doesn't go down. We'll see what happens with that. But in this, you have to prepare for the worst in everything. In 2022, as bad as it can get is as bad as it can get, man. Like, this has been that sort of year. Every moment you think there's a hope for something, it just gets worse. And it's like, come on, man. And so now they're short $8 billion? $8 billion? What? That's an absurd amount of money. Like you would have thought like maybe $1 billion or $2. $8 billion? And this makes sense why, Binance walked away from this deal, right? Because I don't think they just have $8 billion laying around. I don't know Binance's financials, okay? But I doubt they just have $8 billion chilling that they'd be like, oh yeah, here's $8 billion, let's buy you out. Come on, man. Even that's a lot of money for the VCs, and we know a bunch of VCs have backed FTX, right? And it's one of the things that gave it a good brand is how much big money was behind FTX. But $8 billion is a different number, a whole different number. Crypto billionaire says he can spend a record-breaking $1 billion in 2024 election. That was the beginning of the downfall for Sam Bankman-Fried right there, okay? Call me a conspiracy theorist, call me a tinfoil hat man, whatever, okay? That's fine. But the day Sam Bankman-Fried announced that, I said, is he crazy? Is he crazy? Because, and not in a good way, like crazy, like, oh man, he's crazy, like that's epic. Like, no, like that's going to be your biggest downfall. The day he announced that, he became a massive threat to people in both political parties. He became a massive threat to the systems that are in power. He became a massive threat to potentially democracy. He became one of the biggest threats out there the day he announced that he could spend up to $1 billion in the 2024 election. What are you thinking? Are you kidding me? You know how much people are going to dig into you and find everything on this gentleman and want to take him down? When you say you're going to spend $1 billion on an election, you must be kidding me. You must be kidding me. What are you thinking? Like seriously, I don't think people have an understanding of how clean you would need to be and how perfect everything in every business and every relationship. You got to understand, when you talk about doing something like that, everybody's going to find every little bit of dirt on you personally or your companies or everything you're involved with if you're going to talk about spending $1 billion on a presidential election. Bankman-Fried, the 30-year-old founder of the cryptocurrency exchange FTX, said in a podcast interview released Tuesday that he expects to give north of $100 million in the next presidential election. I don't even know who else is putting, as an individual, is putting. I remember Sheldon Adelson, who lived in Vegas, and he was behind Las Vegas Sands. He would throw some crazy money around at election time. I don't even remember him throwing around this kind of money. This is different kinds of money. North of $100 million in the next presidential election, and has a soft ceiling of $1 billion, with his spending likely to be on the higher end if former President Donald Trump runs again. Here's the thing. You might think, people that don't like Trump, they're going to love that he's going to spend that much. No, because he's a threat to everybody. If you're talking about spending that much money, you're talking about potentially changing elections, and you become a threat, because then even the people on the other side are looking at this and are like, wait a minute, he could easily flip. People flip over time. People are Republicans, then become Democrats, Democrats then become Republicans. It happens all the time. Even Trump used to hang out. People don't even know about Trump's past. Trump used to hang out with the Clintons all the time. He used to hang out with Oprah. He used to be hanging around all the Hollywood folks. And Trump actually is more of an independent than a Republican. He ran as a Republican. By the way, if you don't know, he was actually contemplating seriously running as an independent. The only reason he ran as a Republican is because he knew no independents winning the election. I hope at some point in time in my life an independent wins. That would just be a cool moment. Doubt it will happen. You have to run as a Democrat or a Republican and give yourself a chance at winning an election, essentially, at the end of the day, especially on the presidential side. And so when Sam Bankman-Fried announced he was going to spend that money, he became a threat to everybody that cares about politics, that cares about the systems and establishments in place and those sorts of things, right? That kind of money would be in a league of its own, said a researcher for campaign finance. A league of its own. Wow. Bankman-Fried, who is estimated to be worth more than $20 billion at that time, and says he has already given away more than $200 million to various causes, cautions that his political plans are still in flux and can be contingent on what the landscape looks like. And obviously now he's going to spend $0 likely, or something close to $0 on the 2024 election at this point in time. I'm telling you, man, when you want to throw into the political field, I'm telling you, you better be the cleanest person, or they're going to drag up every bit of dirt on you they can possibly find. Look at, we just saw what happened with Trump over the past 5 years. They've tried to dig up everything on that man, right? Everything. And this Bankman, who's involved in crypto, which crypto is already a black box that people don't already like. Talking about you're going to potentially change the outcomes of elections in the United States of America? You don't think there's going to be some ramifications for that? You don't think there's going to be some people that are going to... Come on, man. Think for a moment, okay? No. Simultaneously, Sam had an enemy, and these guys didn't like each other. And it's a gentleman over there at Binance, okay? Now, first off, Binance, we'll see what happens with them, okay? They're supposed to be the safe ones on the block, but at the end of the day, FTX was supposed to be the safe ones on the block, and look what happened to them. So in this situation, you don't know who you can trust. I mean, Voyager was supposed to be the safe ones on the block. Voyager was a public company. A public company. They were the most probably transparent of any of these companies, to be quite frank. And they went under. So at this point in time, it's like you don't know who you can trust in terms of anything crypto related. There's 0% trust. But Sam had an enemy. It was this gentleman right here. And the thing is, it looks like FTX was playing okay until this man saw an opportunity to strike, was able to cause mass fear and mass panic out there, caused that FTT or whatever token to massively crash, which caused insane solvency problems for FTX that all of a sudden now have created a dilemma where, they've got $8 billion of withdrawals and they don't have the money. And it was a move that caused a bank run, right? And he claims that he didn't do it on purpose. Come on, man. Come on. But the thing is, this gentleman better watch out, because I'm telling you, what comes around goes around. That's all I'll say about that, okay? Robinhood. So, if you don't know, Sam Bankman-Fried has a bunch of money in Robinhood. So Robinhood was down about 14% today. Robinhood has two problems now at this point in time, okay? One is, in terms of Robinhood's crypto business, who knows where that's going to be. Crypto's a mess right now, and it's even more of a driver for people to not want to be involved in the crypto market because people are scared. They've gotten absolutely destroyed, and no one knows where the bottom is for these things. It's not like they have PE ratios on it, and this is something I talked about a million times. They don't PE ratios or price-to-sales ratios or anything fundamental like that for any of these crypto coins. So, where's the bottom for Bitcoin? It could be 16,000, it could be 15,000, it could be 5,000, it could be 7,000, it could be 1,000. No one has any clue, okay? It's just, that's the way it is. And so they have that going for them, but also Sam Bankman-Fried's going to likely have to unload a ton of these Robinhood shares that he owns, which is a big position. So Robinhood's got two dilemmas now they're fighting. The uphill crypto battle, which crypto was one thing that was holding Robinhood together. We know there's been, the retail's left the stock market, right? So the one thing was kind of holding them up for a little bit was crypto. Now crypto's a disaster. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Robinhood losses actually go up substantially now. And whenever Sam's going to have to dump his shares on the market, it's going to cause ridiculous amounts of selling pressure at a time period when there's not like there's so many people that want to buy Robinhood stock right now because they're like, oh, Robinhood's awesome. Got to buy Robinhood stock, man. So, is it possible Robinhood goes to penny stock level? I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility. I'm not banking on that. I'm not shorting the stock. I'm not buying put options, but if we saw Robinhood in the next few months at $5, I wouldn't be surprised, or under $5, wouldn't be surprised at all. This is causing even problems with potential governments now at this point in time. You look at El Salvador. They went, supposedly like all in on Bitcoin, right? And here's the deal. El Salvador's got super high inflation, like everybody else has in the world. But the difference is, in El Salvador, they want to go all in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's lost 75% of its value in the past 1 year. So imagine dealing with massive inflation and your currency loses 75% of its just raw value over the past year. Not versus inflation, just as its raw value. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely insane and ridiculous. We think we have it bad in the United States, right? Because we're dealing with high inflation. Well, the one thing we have is the dollar's held up tremendously well in this whole situation, right? At least our dollar didn't lose 75% of its value. That's a good thing, I guess you can say, right? So, this is creating even a problem in other countries now at this point in time. Just an absolute epic disaster. Next thing this is causing problems with is overall financial markets. Because what this is doing and what you're seeing in front of you right now is a very risk-off moment, right? Where people are going to look at this and they say, hey, what's the next shoe to drop? Because you just get, it goes down after, it started with, Celsius, and I think it was BlockFi, then it was Voyager, and then FTX was the one that we all thought, not FTX, they got this massive backing of money behind them. They've done well, running things so far. And then, Sam Bankman-Fried's on every major publication out there, right? And next thing you know, they're all of a sudden under. And so it's like, who's next? Who's next? Who's next? Where's the end of this thing? Are we at the end? Are we getting close to the end? That's what people are wondering, but people don't want to take risk right now. And you got to understand, it causes a margin calls potentially, right? Because if you lost a bunch of money on this and that, and you're, let's say, margined out, next thing you know, you got margin calls coming in, you got to cover that. So the next thing you know, you have to sell off a bunch of either shares or it could be potentially crypto, and that causes more selling pressure. My gosh, it is a mess, and it just creates an overall very risk-off market. And we're at a moment in time, whoa, that scared the crap out of me. Hold on. We're at a moment in time here recently where the market was just starting to think about maybe starting to take some risk again, right? Okay, maybe CPI is going to start coming down. Maybe the Fed's going to potentially stop raising rates in 2023. Maybe Santa Claus rally. Looks like we're going to have a divided government, which Wall Street likes. So we were at a moment where it was okay, maybe we can start finally going risk on. And as soon as we start to even just think about it, just for a second, boom. tank the whole market, and this whole drama comes out, right? And everybody's like, no, what were we thinking thinking about going risk on? Absolutely not, okay? Risk off 100% out there right now, right? Now, I show you this image here, right? Because obviously Sam Bankman-Fried for the past 6 to 12 months has been everywhere, every publication, everywhere, right? Including, this image you're seeing in front of yourself. As humans, to really remember an epic period you go through, you need a face to it. It has to be a face. And you associate that face with that time period, right? Well, in this crazy euphoric market we had, right? Where crypto, Bitcoin went to $1 trillion plus market cap, and it was like all these cryptos were going to 50 billion, 100 billion, multi-$100 billion market caps left and right, even though they had basically no real people using them in the world. Like, it was just going to insane valuations. You obviously had the stock market I'm talking about, go to the highest valuations we had seen since pretty much 1999, 2000. You kind of need a face to throw behind that whole situation. That was like the face of that movement, right? And unfortunately, Sam Bankman-Fried's face will be the face that will be remembered for years and potentially decades to go into the future. He is that face that everybody's going to remember, and it's like that was the symbol of the excess that went on during that time in a man that went from a $20 billion net worth to, potentially a negative net worth in a matter of it happened like that, right? And that's a time period we've essentially gone through here right now, and that is the face that will be remembered for a long time to go into the future, right? And I mean, there'll be memes about it for years to go in the future and all this stuff. And it just is what it is. It almost feels like it was needed because we didn't really have that face yet. See, the thing is, Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, guys like that have lost incredible amounts of wealth. I think Elon Musk's wealth is down probably over $100 billion this year. Zuckerberg's wealth is down probably $70 billion this year. Guys like that, Bezos' wealth is down massively this year, probably at least 50 billion, if not more than that. It might even be down 70 billion for Bezos. The thing with guys like that is they can't become that face because their companies are so massive. It doesn't matter that their stock fell in the short term because their companies are actually just going to get bigger. Meta's just going to get bigger over the coming years. Amazon's just going to get bigger over the coming years. Tesla's going to continue to get bigger. And they still have incredible net worth. So yeah, they fell massively, but they can't really become the face of this movement. It has to be an individual that was super famous, ridiculously rich, and lost it all. And the one individual that became super famous over the past 12 months in the financial space is Sam Bankman-Fried. And obviously we've seen what's happened. And for the whole situation, there's no coming back from that, man. It is what it is, man. And now the one really good point of this is, and the one really good thing is, if you take us back to the housing crisis, 2008 housing crisis, right? What emerged out of that was an extremely healthy real estate market for the next decade. Why was this? Well, because we had just gone through something extremely traumatic. So no one wanted to take insane levels of risk on real estate. Even though prices had fallen, it was a healthy market. And what emerged from 2009 all the way through 2019 was a healthy real estate market. Not insane levels of risk. The amount of flippers out there was a small amount of house flippers. It wasn't like everybody was just running out to go buy a home just to buy a home and try to rent it out on Airbnb and these sorts of things. We had a healthy real estate market and people were thinking about the risk going in. They were running the numbers and okay, is this worth it? Okay, I can do this or I can't do this. What happened, obviously, in real estate over the past year is finally we got to an unhealthy market again. Massive amounts of flippers came in, massive amounts of people that just want to buy rentals, just hold a property because you could hold a property for a few months and then flip it for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 profit without having to do anything to the house, right? Because real estate prices are going up so much. So it took us over a decade to finally enter a non-healthy real estate market again. And so if you're looking at the stock market, if you're looking at the crypto market and the devastation that's happened this year, understand that we will now get into a very healthy market for the next 5, 10, if not 15 years because everybody's went through a very traumatic period. And eventually, as the longer the market roars for, the more probability you're going to have another FOMO cycle, another hype cycle, another insane margin, take out debt, one of those sorts of cycles play out. but we're going to be in a healthy place for the next 5 to 10 years because everybody's been so hurt and traumatized, and everybody's going to have ran away from crypto. Everyone's going to run away from stocks and want nothing to do with those for quite some time. Even as those markets come back and do better and better in future years, it still won't be like everybody's like, oh, let's go risk on again. No, because we went through that traumatic of a time. When the market goes from like, all-time highs and everybody's making money to down 5%, everybody's still like, oh, margin, call options, blah, blah, blah. When the market gets devastated and stocks go down 60, 70, 80, 90%, cryptos go down 60, 70, 80, 90%, people aren't out there to run out there and be like, oh, let's go risk on again. No. It's not how it works. So you have a very healthy market emerge for years. And so if you're looking for the one bright side of the devastation that has come this year, that's the one bright side, is we will have a very healthy market emerge in the overall financial landscape for years to go in the future. And then we'll screw it up again, and it'll be some sort of craziness, and everything will be screwed up again, and valuations go to ridiculous levels and nothing makes sense. But the good news is we have a long time until that happens again. A long time. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. I appreciate you all joining me. As always, much love as always. It's a year to remember in the financial markets. 2022, you won't forget this one, man. Much love and have a great day.